Hi, today we're talking about teas for detox. I'm Dr. Kara Burkhart, and I run a lot of detoxes and cleanse programs. And I have learned a few things that I'm trying to share with you today. So, first of all, when we're doing a detox or trying to clean up our diet, doing a more allergy elimination diet, people are trying to get off the things they eat daily because it's the things that we repeatedly introduce to our GI systems day after day after day, because we're creatures of habit, that our body tends to have responses towards. And it's those things like coffee or almond milk or the eggs you eat for breakfast every day, or it could be so many different things for different people. But it's those things that we have often that people get responses towards. So then we have them remove them in this kind of a detox diet to see, hey, can we take that burden off the body? The whole idea is that these proteins and the foods and drinks and the chemicals we're exposed to daily in our GI tracts, those things can create an inflammatory response where our immune systems start to get a little bit of interaction with it. Um, and hi, Hillary.
Hi, honey.
I'm just explaining how in a detox, we like to take people off the things they have every day. So often people are trying to get off coffee. And so I'm presenting a few teas, because this is teas for detox, that people could use instead of the coffee, that we found over time can really help them. So one of the things that always in doing a cleanse or detox program is we're trying to get the body in a different state, right? A different, like a shift in the body. So one of the things we try to do is hydrate really well. Um, Often people are changing their diets where they're eating more fiber in their foods, and so they need to hydrate because that fiber can give them a little bit of a backup, more constipation kind of picture, right? And so water can really help in the intestines and help in the colon as far as creating a like antidote to that extra fiber in the diet. Fiber is very good for us though, right? So doing it slowly over time is really good. So one of the things that comes up a lot is, okay, what is the best tea for me to drink if I'm trying to get, hydration via tea? And we have other talks about caffeinated teas. So we're not going to talk about caffeinated teas. And that's what people are trying to get off in a detox. So today I wanted to talk about rosehip tea. So I'm going to show you rosehips. They are a rose family plant, and this is a jar of them. If you can see them, it's like they're dark red actually, and they're like, this one's like chopped up. If I had them whole, it would be I don't know if you can see that so well. Yeah, you can see those. It's good. Um, if I had them whole, they're more of a circle shape. They're like a real fruit. If you walk on the beach, always those kind of like beach paths in New England have rose hips there. It's like the beach rose. Those are a rose family plant that have these round reddish orange berries on them, that all through the summer here you can see them when you're walking toward the beach. So it's that plant family. It's those rose hips that we're talking about here today. And what people do is they harvest them and they dry them and they cut them up. And this one I have is cut all up because that's what you use for medicine. You can definitely get this in a tea bag. You see them all the time. I always look for organic, but you might be able to harvest them wherever you are too. So rose hips, you also might know for anti-aging, if you're looking at healthy uh, personal care products, right? Rosehip oil is really awesome for your skin. So why? Because it's high in vitamin C. So people often put the rose hips in an oil and extract the vitamin C and these other compounds I'm going to talk about. So rose hips make a really nice tea. Because they're hard, they're like a hard kind of berry. You do cook it down. So tea by definition is a water extract, and sometimes you can just pour water over the tea bag. If you have a tea bag of rose hips, they've cut them so small that it's almost like powdered, and you pour the tea bag over it and it will extract the medicine. If you have the kind I have, you have to make a decoction. And so you cook it down for maybe like 10-20 minutes on a slow simmer boil. And then the medicine comes out. It comes out to be like a dark, rusty red color. But they're really high in these.
It's delicious.
It's delicious. So I really like it because I like acidic taste a little bit. Like, it's almost like sweet tart to me. It's that
And
kind of
with
taste.
lemon, it would be
Okay.
amazing. Rose hips with lemon and with ginger for those of you guys that like to spice it up or warm it up, or with cinnamon. Like you get to play with herbs. And right now, Kara and I are in the midst of doing a detox or an anti-inflammatory protocol. So it's fun to just mix it up and use plants.
Yeah, so, the most medicinal thing really about the rose hips are these proanthocyanidins. Those are the chemicals that are, like, in the berry, coat of, like, a blueberry, right?
Times fast.
That's a nerdy word, but reality is those things like a blueberry, that blue part in the blueberry, are really amazing antioxidants. So that's why we like people to replace their coffee in the morning or even their tea in the morning, their caffeinated beverage in the morning with maybe a rosehip tea because it's so, so good that way. And there's research on it for our osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and for these inflammatory conditions. So, hey, why not make everything you drink a medicine too? So it's not caffeinated. It could replace a glass of water, depending on how strong you make it. Um, Trying rosehip tea might be a thing to try on a detox because it's incredibly good for you. And once you have it a little bit, it's funny. It like calls to you. So, if I'm not in the habit of it, I get out of the habit, right? But once I get in the habit, I like crave it. I think because it has so many of these good antioxidant properties for my blood vessels and my skin.
Your body really craves citrus and vitamin C.
Mhm.
And it's interesting because Kara's genetics,
Mhm.
she's a poor keeper of vitamin C. So like her need for vitamin C is higher. And it's really interesting because it's just straight up in her genetic test. But it's when you hang with Kara, you know that like she's continually like working the citrus.
Why am I always craving these things? It was right there in the genetic test because I need more vitamin C than other people, but it's beyond the vitamin C in here. It's all of these compounds that make it that like dye herbs that like dye your water a color, like the hibiscus makes it red or the rosehip makes it this like darker rust color. Those things are really good for us.
And so can I talk one thing about weaning from coffee and on to herbal teas? So when we're running an anti-inflammatory protocol, detoxing, kind of we're using these words interchangeably,
Mhm.
which is what's happening right now in our community. And the many people, one of the tenets is that you're sugar free,
Mhm.
because to shift the body, like Kara was talking about, we are trying to take sugar out. Sugar is one of the most pro-inflammatory compounds that there is.
Mhm.
Sugar, when you remove sugar from a diet, you can feel pretty bad. Like people who don't even eat that much sugar, like the majority of our patients would never be like, yeah, I eat a lot of sugar. But if you add it up, it's just around in the
Oh,
mix.
I
It's
think lots of people know they eat a lot of sugar.
okay, yeah. And then but when you're going
Mhm.
sugar free and
Mhm.
I always say cold turkey for sugar. Cold turkey, baby. You gotta like cut it out.
It's so addictive. It's like
It's so
you let a
addictive.
little bit in, and then all of a sudden, I'm eating a ton of it. It's true. It's like you go the second you're like, "Oh, I'll just, have a little of this and have a little of that." All of a sudden, within 2 weeks, I'm like, "Wait a minute, why am I eating sugar, like, so much every day?"
Your brain just
And
wants it.
it's totally addictive,
So
right?
cold turkey for sugar.
Can I ask you a question?
Mhm.
What are the symptoms you've seen in people in detox programs or even personal clients you work with or whoever? Because some of these things are really unbelievable to me that happen when people go off sugar.
Bone pain, straight up bone pain,
Mm,
night fever and chills,
mhm,
flu-like symptoms. I mean, it's nuts, you know? People can be down for the count for a couple days. Moodiness, mood swings, anger, a lot. But the most surprising is the flu-like things where it's a little headachy, but just straight up.
mhm,
I mean, we've had fever and chills and that pain, that bone pain. It's almost like your bones are craving it.
mhm,
And those usually take a day or two to resolve, but it can be kind of uncomfortable in the beginning, and more just patients are like, people are going like, wait, what's happening to me? Never
They feel
thinking
like they're a little sick.
that would happen.
I
Yeah.
remember one woman had the most incredible skin rashes, like, all over her body that was just kinda shocking to me, and it was sort of like you heal from the inside out kinda thing, and I'll never forget that woman. I can picture her right in my mind. So many things can happen when we go off sugar because we're so actually addicted to sugar. We really, really are. So it's like getting off any addictive thing. You don't feel great for a little bit, and then you feel wonderful.
So the sugar, we say cold turkey.
And that
Coffee.
is wait, what kind of sugar? Because people are gonna some people aren't in this program with us, so they don't know what we're talking about. They're gonna think, "Oh, I can't have any fruit," you know?
No, you can have
Tell us.
fruit. So that's like unnatural sugars. So
So, processed
any
sugars, cane
processed sugar,
sugar, dumping
and
sugar in your drinks, like that kinda thing, right?
the sugar hangs out in certain things, like in breakfast sausages, there's sugar. In a lot of processed
Salad
foods, there's sugar.
dressing.
People use a bunch of honey and maple syrup, and some people would argue, oh, but those are more natural. Yeah, okay, but if we're really trying to clean it out from our body, it's just
Mhm,
really helpful to kind of go with nada. And there's so much, like, nature gives so many beautiful things. So like
mhm,
what happens is you reset your sugar pathways, your taste buds, so that
mhm,
all of a sudden an apple tastes like outrageously sweet and delicious,
right,
or blueberries. You
mhm,
just And in the United States, we over sweeten things. When I lived in
mhm,
Japan, could eat a lot of, you people can eat desserts a lot. They have like a cake culture, and they
mm,
kind of do tea, but they cook everything with half sugar, at least. So we in the United States, like, sometimes things hurt. They're so sugary, you know what I
yeah,
mean? So
I do know what
sugar
you
is
mean.
tricky. When you come off coffee in a program like a detox, or you're thinking about January for caffeine you need to wean. And
Why?
some people will be more impacted by a caffeine withdrawal than others. Kara, more affected by a
Don't like
caffeine
it.
withdrawal than me. So I need to wean by like 2 days. I have some people that I've watched that need to wean down by like 5 days. Okay. So
Mhm,
that is because caffeine works in our receptors. We get tolerance. There are certain tissues that are really responsive to it, your bowel tissue, your headache, so vessel tissue. So many people will get a rebound headache.
mhm,
And if you have never given up coffee and you regularly drink coffee, whether it's 1 cup in the morning or it's 4 cups, you need to wean down. And what happens is sometimes people will feel fine in the morning. They're like, I'm drinking my detox tea or my anti inflammatory tea, and it's totally fine. And then it hits them like a ton of bricks around 3 p.m., or they have like a banging headache.
mhm.
That happens to you, right?
Awful.
And
And you can't negotiate with it, like, you can't be like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna take some magnesium," and, "Oh, okay, I'll just, like, lay down and hold my neck up," or whatever. It's an unbearable headache, really, to me, so it's hard to get off the caffeine for
And
me.
it's unnecessary. So, it's totally fine to wean yourself down. And many people, when we're doing detox programs, are generally 10 days. There are some people who aren't off the caffeine until day 5, and that's
Mhm,
okay. Like, you're weaning down, you're learning about your body, you're seeing how you feel, you're seeing how you sleep on these different um, molecules, and then you go from there. So what I do is I wean down. If you're doing coffee, I like green tea the best. So if you're doing coffee, and if you're doing 2 coffees a day, then what you want to do is do one a day and then 1 cup of green tea. If you're
mhm,
doing a double espresso, then maybe you do a single espresso and then a cup of green tea. And
mhm,
you slowly titrate yourself down. Some
yeah,
people, green tea is not enough. You'll still get a headache on green tea. Then black tea is what you use. And you just sort of give your body the slow let down off coffee.
mhm,
I will say, Kara and I are both big coffee drinkers, so we don't like to talk a lot of smack about the plant that we use and love. And so, but as we age and as we change and we go through different stages, it's just so good to check in with the drugs you take. And make no mistake about it. When you're using caffeine in the morning, you're taking a drug, and your body gets tolerant to the drug, and you have impact of the drug in multi-systems. And for cuties like us, well, I'm almost 50, like the way I drink the way caffeine impacts me now is different than how it did when I was 20. I mean, think about alcohol. Like I used to be able to pre-party with a bottle of champagne and then like, you know, not be hungover. And now you have 2 glasses of champagne and you have a hot flash. And then
talk about a headache there.
You wake up and you're like
headache inducing. But there's a real reason, right? This is this darn list of things that just happen naturally as you age and your liver pathways change phase 1 and phase 2. And that's why this shifts. And people say, I can't drink the wine. I can't have the caffeine. That's why it's a part of natural aging.
We use this. We love this super.
I was just turning around, going to grab that. I have it.
You have it? Yeah, this is a great green tea. Any organic kind of green or black tea as you're weaning down. So if you are
the antioxidant green tea from Yogi is the one that we have the best success getting people on because it has a little bit of licorice that makes it a little sweet. And we've had people write back and say, I always thought I didn't like green tea, and I cannot believe I like this green tea that you all suggest. So they have a bunch of other herbs in there to kind of flavor it. So it's not that tart, tannin-rich taste that people tend to not like with green tea. I will tell you that after you drink green tea for a while, your body knows it loves the antioxidants. It knows it's really good for it. And all of a sudden you start craving it. But it's that first week on the green tea that you're like, how do people drink this? What is going on? That's people tell us this. So that's the experience. And then all of a sudden you love it. It's very few people who are like, I cannot get into the green tea.
And matcha is always stronger. So just know matcha is much more bitter and strong. So like regular green tea, this is a great one. And we taught this in one of our glow ups with using this tea bag with lemon water and orange. So you can make your teas feel more uplifted by adding lemon, by adding fresh orange juice, fresh squeezed grapefruit juice. So you want to put a little in there, lime, and those citruses really brighten it up. And when you're drinking tea without milk, Kara and I also drink a lot of black tea. We work really hard. We
like all the teas.
We use caffeine as our friend, but we make black tea with milk, or don't citrus and milk and all that. It just doesn't work. It doesn't blend. So keep the thin teas. And the reason when you're on an anti-inflammatory,
what's a thin tea? Wait,
thin meaning clear is what I meant to say. Clear, thin versus like a thick latte. When you start with a green tea, cinnamon, ginger, citrus, you are going to feel bright. I always describe it as starting the day clean. You're literally starting the day clean. When you start with coffee, and I love to, but when you start the day with coffee, I feel like you start the day dirty. And I crave dirty things sometimes. Like I want another coffee, or I'm a little more dehydrated and hot than I am if I'm drinking clear beverages, even the lower caffeine green tea, cinnamon. I feel much more hydrated, and it impacts my daily choices. Like I don't crave chocolate as much. I don't crave some of the things that put me on the dark path. I don't know.
It is a dark path because the caffeine just gives you an adrenaline and cortisol rush that then pulls your blood sugar up, and then it comes down. Right. And so that adrenaline rush we love in the morning, we're like, woo, we're going to get stuff done. And then you come down from that. And it could come with a sugar swing for a lot of people.
And we'll talk about, if you're in our program with us now, we'll definitely talk about reintroduction of all the things. But one of the things that we've learned for years watching people is sometimes delaying the coffee after you've had one of these teas makes a big difference for you're working with when in the morning is often when we have the most natural cortisol anyway. and sometimes delaying the coffee until around 9:30 or 10 once you've had food, once you've already hydrated, it has
Mhm.
so much less of a negative impact on bodies.
Mhm.
But the program, this detox program or protocol is so that you get to see what's happening with my morning coffee. We have had many patients, many who recognize that their morning coffee at age 48 is impacting their sleep quality without question. And they take a pause and your sleep quality improves. And also if you're not eating sugar and you're eating foods that are less inflammatory. So we're usually doing this as a package, but in general, the quality of sleep is a
Mhm.
huge one for me to watch with your caffeine intake. And
And
like,
this is yeah.
yeah,
This is the way I lie to myself, right? Because I like to justify my behavior. So I say, "Oh, I can drink an espresso right after dinner and have no impact on my sleep whatsoever." And I'm sure many of you out there are like, "That's me, that's me, that's me." Well, I'm gonna challenge to try and take the caffeine out and see actually what happens to your sleep because I'm telling you, I'm absolutely sure I'm lying to myself here, but I continue to hold the lie up, because I don't wanna give up the caffeine.
it's like so fun to push on our human behavior buttons. Like
It's
some people, it's so easy to give up the vices and they hear, oh, something could be better for me. Oh, something could change me. And they so easily. And others
Mhm.
of us, it's like pulling teeth, like, don't take that away from me. Don't take that away from me. And it's just really opening up into curiosity without judgment to see what it is for you. Right. Like,
Exactly, exactly.
I want to give a couple things that I've fallen in love with that are alternatives for some of the caffeines. The great thing about where we are right now in our life, 2020, January 2024, is that there's so many alternatives for teas. There's so many mushroom adaptogens and all kinds of things for health. Like the biohacking is at its pinnacle, and then tons of alternatives for alcohol, like tons. And so it does do it serves a body to like
Yeah,
play with some of these things and see if you can find alternatives. This week I bought for us one time when we were
yeah,
studying
that
this,
was fun.
this spicy rose cacao. And then they have like also this Rasa. She's a lady who started this tea company out of Boulder, small company, so cute. And she also has like a coconut milk creamer. And so there's all kind that has adaptogens in it. Like there's so many fun options. But detox teas like this are great, though Kara and I are really trying to tell you to like use your herbs at home because
Mhm,
it's so different when you're breaking off fresh
mhm.
herbs that
Yeah,
have anti-inflammatory properties. You're extracting the medicine fresh on your stove and you get to drink the result. The aliveness that you will feel from the
mhm.
plants, the medicine that they transmit, it shifts you. Like we taught in our glow up, if you guys saw that a couple weeks ago, rosemary cinnamon tea. And several people have come to us and been like, oh my God, that rosemary thing was so delicious and easy. And it's
Mhm.
so true. There's your
I wanna make a
there's
point, okay? You just said when it is, it's January. I live in Connecticut, okay? I just was walking out in the yard here, and I picked these, okay? So,
wow, really?
yeah,
That's
and
so
I
cool.
don't have a cold frame, although I would love one, and I will someday.
Birthday goals.
I know. Hey, my birthday is coming up. Anyone listening, I want a cold frame. I really do. But I'm telling you, beyond that dream of mine, I have my herbs, planted close to, a walkway that's against a wall of the house, so that's very, warm over there, and
That's fun.
then I have them in pots because I do have dogs, and you have to keep your herbs and dogs don't blend so well, so I have pots to keep them so the dogs don't do anything nasty to my herbs, so we can eat them, and then the pots and the ground, so the rosemary incredible. It looks totally fresh. It's January with snow on the ground in Connecticut, and I just harvested this. Um, what I'm doing right now is encouraging you to plant these plants this spring, and you can bring them in your house too. But I wanted to show you that even the mints, okay, my mints, unfortunately, I think they got a little confused. This happens sometimes with this kind of weather. But about a month ago, my mint came back 100%. Now
Oh,
it
yeah.
literally was 15 degrees when I left my house today, so it's looking a little wilty. But is this is lemon balm.
Ooh,
So,
I
yeah,
love
so
lemon balm.
that's out there, and then I just have, like, regular, peppermint is out there, and I have some thyme that
Look
is
at
look
are
at this,
you and
it's
I
amazing.
are you and I meant to be
Yes,
partners in
we are.
practice? Right,
We
here's my
are.
tip. And time is it's funny, I made my son a tea the other day. Time it had time in it, and he's like, he couldn't like it took him a minute to place it. He's like, it feels a little bit like when I'm drinking this tea, and he's like, it feels like the cough medicine or the something with the cough, like Vicks. Is it like Vicks? What am I drinking? So thyme has that real medicinal thing that we use when we're using opening up the lungs or antimicrobials. So you can play with those. But all of these plants that Kara just brought up, the rosemary, the mint, the thyme, they're all anti-inflammatory.
Mhm,
The ginger, cinnamon. I
mhm.
keep
So all those plants that we're talking about, not the ginger and cinnamon, but the ones, your culinary herbs there that are high in essential oils, they're mostly all the mint family plants. And so most people don't react to those plants, and they're really good medicine. So if thyme is too antiseptic tasting for you, you can add a little licorice to it, and that totally knocks that down, and people love it. Or honey in there does the trick. So what are you
But we're
making there,
not doing
Bill?
sugar this week. If
Are
you're
you
on
making
our
something?
protocol, no sugar. What?
Yeah, no sugar. What are you making?
Well, okay, I
Oh,
made yesterday. I was showing the ginger cinnamon tea. So can you talk a little bit about ginger? So I just
yeah.
wanted you guys to know I did this last night. I put in 2 ginger. Yeah, it's terrible. Oh, you know
That's
what I'm gonna
good.
do? I'm gonna bring you to me. I
Great.
brought in
Show it.
two ginger, 2 cinnamon sticks, and a big hunk of ginger. I just washed it. Kara told me I didn't have to peel it, and I believe her. So I washed it.
You don't need to peel it.
When you open it, it's so fresh. It
Mhm,
smells delicious. I cut it on the bias just to give more surface area to extract the medicine. And then I put in the cinnamon sticks, water, bring it
mhm.
to a boil, simmer. This is not rocket science. And
Yeah,
now
this is the tea that we're using in our group for an anti-inflammatory protocol. So what we wanna say about ginger is it is just like turmeric. You've all heard of turmeric and curcuminoids, and the research there is anti-inflammatories. Ginger is literally the cousin. They're cousin plants, in their rhizomes, and so they're very, very similar, but I'll tell you, cinnamon and ginger go very well together with lemon, and if you put turmeric in there, it doesn't taste good. So I'd much rather use the ginger. That's why ginger is in this recipe. About a thumb-sized piece of ginger, you always buy that organic. You slice it. But I'll tell you that, I find good ginger at Costco that's organic. I mean, you can
Costco
find
has
it
massive
everywhere.
boxes of it.
I know, you can find it anywhere now, so it's amazing. So it's an excellent circulatory stimulant and anti-inflammatory. It does thin the blood a little bit. So, all of these herbs, if you're on medications, we're not recommending you take them. We're recommending you ask your providers whether you can take them, because that's one that could thin the blood if you're on a blood thinner. So that's the only thing that I'm really thinking about with ginger as a contraindication, but it is a really nice tasting plant. People who don't like spicy still like ginger. I find that really interesting. I think because it doesn't burn the taste buds and in your mouth and up your nose, it more like rolls it around. It's more strong, like, ooh, there's like more blood flow there and less of a burning, like a capsation, like a hot pepper will burn.
Can
So
I
that,
talk about that? So
yeah.
Kara just gave me the segue. When one of one of these things that can also really help with dispersing the
They're
blood.
called the drivers or the circulatory stimulants in the formula.
So it helps to bring medicine into cells. And this cayenne is one of the best circulatory stimulants on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Con mucho cuidado. Got to be careful with this one because this one does bite and this one is spicy. Mm-hmm. Kara and I were filming once, just funny story. We were filming a series here. Mm-hmm. The cutest guy, Tony, was his name, Tony, and he didn't know what we were doing, and we were kind of like Swedish chefing it, and like we came over and we put in a little bit more cayenne. We're talking about cayenne, and the cayenne's wafting, and all of a sudden the videographer was like, you could tell he was like, his eyes went
red. He was like moving around and sweating.
He was so uncomfortable. He's like trying to like block. And after we finished the segment and we were like, oh my God, are you okay? He's like, what happened? What did you guys do? Like, he's like, I'm not totally allergic.
He said fan took it right up his nose directly.
So you got to be careful with this. Same as I used to take cayenne pepper pills when I lived in Boston, the freezing city of Boston. And I have a circulatory disorder called Raynaud's syndrome. And so I take cayenne pepper pills to bring blood flow to my extremities. This is even before naturopathic medical school. I figured that out. And one day I gave it to my brother because it's so cold here in Boston. I was like, oh, take the cayenne pepper. He hadn't eaten. Not a great idea. So like this one, you got to be more careful with.
Yeah, if you have stomach ulcers or
ginger and cinnamon, you can
have anything. Yeah, that one's
a lot of things with. But this one, adding just a ding ding and kind of giving it a turn with some lemon water with the cinnamon, ginger, turmeric root if you want to add it into there. But that is in our recipe for some people who want to cook with fresh turmeric. That's I don't have it this morning, but I'm going to go get some today. But the cayenne pepper brings this energy to the brain that makes it so you really don't miss the coffee.
Yeah,
it really brings energy to the brain.
It's and blood flow, circulatory stimulant. Yeah,
just don't overdo it. You'll know it's too much.
And for people with us for the next few days here, the cayenne is really good for weight loss. So working your way up to adding to this tea a little bit more cayenne might get some movement for that stubborn fat to go away. That is a thing that happens for people. So Hillary, can you circle back to like what's in there exactly and you know how people might be able to make this at home? Or I can do it.
I mean, it's just as easy as she said. Fresh ginger,
about a thumb size.
I mean, I make tea
strong
for the day, and I like my herbs really strong, and I don't have issues with I need the circulation and I need the anti-inflammatory, the medicine. So I use a lot. I use 2 cinnamon sticks, and these are organic. I add filtered water, and then you just boil them down. I cooked this last night, and then I just added stuff to it. And you can turn it on. This is an extremely forgiving situation.
It is.
You can really do it to taste. There's not a lot of magic. I squeezed 2 lemons in mine, and then I just did my pinch of cayenne.
Okay, and I just want to say, because I'm always the one about this, we don't leave our herbs in the water for long because that's when microbial growth can happen. So Hillary said she made that last night. Hillary's totally fine.
Always getting in trouble.
Hillary's totally fine with this. That wouldn't be what you would do. You would make it, you would take the herbs out of it, and then you'd refrigerate that extra fluid. So the water and the herbs don't sit together after you boil it and let it cool down to room temperature. Remove the herbs, then you can refrigerate it in a glass container. Yeah, I'm always doing that. Sorry.
Get a big mason jar. I'm always getting in trouble. Like, that's what I say. I'm not I remember my mama one day took a health, when you're like becoming a chef, she was cooking at a bed and breakfast, and she had to take a
food safety course.
And she was like, oh my, there are many things I've been doing wrong. And I was raised like that. And then I'm like 100 times sloppier than my mom in all kinds of ways. So like, I'm pretty sloppy with stuff. So you do it Kara's way. But But
It's just a thing. So herbs sitting in water can have microbial growth happen. I mean, it's just a thing. It's a real thing. So you just remove all that stuff from the water part, and then you can refrigerate it, and it can last 2 days in the refrigerator.
and it can be iced, or and if you have extra and you want to potentize it or add more to it, you can put it back in and use that as your water, add more herbs for the next day. So
Okay, it has been a long time because we can talk about herbs for like hundreds and
okay,
hundreds
we'll
of
let you go. Mwah. Much love, everybody.
Bye.